I think this is
What's
the
good?
closest one we got.
I know, man. It's good. It's good. Hey, bro, how's your day been? How you been doing so far?
It's been a good one. Been busy. October has been, I think, a record month for a lot of people. We've been super busy, so I've been playing
100%.
playing
100%.
catch up. I haven't been on show site today, but I've been playing catch up with a lot of paperwork, and
Right,
y'all
right,
y'all know
right.
exactly how that goes. But been busy nonstop, and I'm excited to see what the future looks like for the industry for the rest of the year and for next year.
For
So,
sure, for sure.
what about yourself? What's going on with you?
Listen, I've been fantastic, man. A lot of big things are coming in November. I got a lot of things coming out for the rest of the quarter. So, keep an eye out for
Absolutely.
what's going on here. Obviously, if you guys haven't heard, I'm the director of education for Evolve Technologies.
Woo
Like,
woo!
right? Amazing, man. Like,
Congratulations!
You know,
Congrats!
it yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you. But tonight's not about me. Real quick, a shout out to Justin Butler's here watching with us. He's in I'm just south of Orlando. Thank you for being here. Albert is here with us again from North
What's
Virginia.
up,
I like
Justin?
the eye,
What's up,
man.
Albert?
It's totally rated to the month that's going on here. I gotta catch up here and change some content stuff. I see Rob White's in the background here saying stuff. So what's up, Rob White? Yeah,
What's
what's good,
going
man?
on?
Listen, as always, guys, give us a few minutes. We're going to introduce our guest for tonight. Very special guest tonight. If you guys saw what's going on, we're talking about this guy with this guy and some other person, right, who's well known. But what we like to do is spotlight the text. And this guy did a lot of amazing stuff in the background. He has a list that's just, for days. But Austin is the man of words, right, the master of literature here. And he's gonna sum this up a little bit. So I'm gonna let Austin take over
I'm
here.
I'm I'm gonna try to. I'm really gonna try to.
For sure, for
First
sure.
of all, it seems like the community is really active tonight, so I'm super excited to see how excited everyone is. But if I really was to go over line by line the extent of tonight's guest resume, like I said, by the time I reach the end of the resume, I'd be giving you the closing words and we'd be talking again next week. But tonight's guest is he's actually a colleague, but he's also a friend. He's a person that has talked to me and taught me so many different things on and off of show site. I worked with him with one of another production company that's more like a family to me, and he's a project manager as well as a technical engineer for J Thor Productions. He has 30 years of experience on the computer engineering background, as well as another 15 years plus of audiovisual production background on top of that, which makes him pretty much a one-man band, which is almost what a lot of today's AV is about, right? So without further ado, I want to introduce tonight's guest, Cory Chambers. What's
Hey, what's up,
going
Woo,
on,
guys?
Corey.
Cory?
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Nah, good to have you, man. So,
Mhm.
so Corey, give us a synopsis of that night for you, man. You got to meet Steve Aoki. You got to stream this out, but you were the mastermind essentially, right, behind all this going on. How did you handle that? How did you manage that? Give us a quick little rundown of what was going on that night.
Oh man, well, in the moment, you can't really think about it. You know what I'm saying? It's just what's the next task? What's the thing to focus on? What do we do next? If you stop and think about it, like you're done. You'll freak yourself out. There's a million things. There you have to have that like clarity and focus to continue. But it was a really fun night. It was a really fun event, really unique event for a company named Beyond Protocol and You Dream Events, which big shout out to Ryan Anderson over there and You Dream. They were amazing with the logistics stuff and the support and everything that they did. Yeah, it was an interesting event. And so we basically did Steve Aoki in a mansion in Tampa with no generator, no cam tie-ins, no distro, and I did a full acoustics rig in a house with 10
Yeah, the
Mac or
acoustics in house.
yeah, I did. Yeah, I did two KS21s aside, two A15s aside. His monitoring rig was two SB18s over X12 wedges on top of it. We did a lighting rig that was 10 Mac Auras, two Satura profiles, and 8 par deep blues. So yeah, it was a lot of work to just figure out just that. And when you add in, like, we did a 7 camera shoot on top of it with distributed audio everywhere 18,000 square foot, 19,000 square foot house mansion. It was a lot in a short amount of time to do it.
Absolute. So if I remember correctly, this 19,000 square foot, you said that you had outputs everywhere. We're just talking about the audio side. You said you had 7 camera outputs. Can you kind of just give us a little bit of a background as to where all these outputs were? Kind of what did this look like? Because this is all happening inside of a house. So help us envision this situation.
So red carpet, nice marble stairway. We had a camera perched over the red carpet, so you got some of the walk-in entryway party. We had perch over the pool, so another camera. These are all PTZ cameras. Big shout out to Kelly Foxon, who helped supply some of those. Great dude, and they really Foxon Productions. They helped augment some of the camera stuff that we had. It was all Panasonic UE 70s and 120s. I think we had 150, one UE 150 that we used. The other shots where we had 3 in the club. I had 1 return from front of house. I had 1 over the DJ booth, and then I had a kickback on a pipe that we had cheese broed that was kind of nestled in right above 2 back wall TVs. We had a second. So this comes with 2 control packages, because that night we also did 2 virtual meet and greets with Charlie Jordan, who was one of the DJs who was performing, and Steve Aoki and some fans. With the platform was Headliner.live, which is a really cool company. They do a lot of streaming service stuff, kind of circling around entertainment and live music videos. The second control room outside of the nightclub, which this house, the center of it, had a soundproof nightclub that everything was floated. You had walls floated, and we really put that soundproof to the test. I mean, there was no lack of sound in this room by any means. It was pretty crazy. So that control room in there, I was managing the PTZs in that room while managing the front of house audio stuff. All the feeds for the rest of the house were distributed from that console in that room. There was another control room where we did the meet and greet stuff that I had Matt Coombs for us. He was a freelancer that managed that area. That was our central stream, where my switch was sub-fed back to his switch. We did some graphics and overlay stuff, kind of fun little stingers and whatnot for the DJs that were performing. And that was kind of our main control area for the push. In hindsight, I definitely wish I would have spec'd out a cradle point for sure. But hindsight's.
So you said there was so if I'm understanding the entire scope of things, there's this mansion, there's a club in the center of it. You have a full rig built out in there. L Acoustics, you said, that's happening indoors, testing it out. There's a separate room that you have running. Matt Coombs is in there, and I actually saw Matt Coombs in the chat not too long ago. So
I seen him pop up too.
Hey Matt, if you want, let's get you behind the scenes, and we can get you on, man. So So Matt was running. What was happening in Matt's room?
There was a virtual. There's a kind of a sub to the stream. There was a virtual meet and greet package that we had set up. So there's like a step and repeat with 2 director chairs, and we had another rig that was with a 4K camera kind of keyed into those 2 director chairs, and we had a 4K 50-inch TV that Aoki could see the fans. And Matt was in charge. I had Matt kind of facilitate that because we had talent in the club ongoing the whole evening. So that was really cool to be able to have someone that I had there that I could really trust with that, and not have that out of the back of my brain, that I could just run over there, or if I needed to put a fire out, I knew he would get a hold of me. But that's the big thing with all this, is having people that you can absolutely trust, because You know, you can do a lot of stuff. You can octopus arm a lot of, you know, we like to call it octopus arming. You can octopus arm a lot of things, but you know, you can't do everything. But
Absolutely.
you definitely need
Absolutely.
to trust people.
And sometimes when you take on too much, that leaves the room for where you can drop the ball, right? So
for sure.
that's why, like we always talk about it, it's important to make sure that we build a team with people that we can trust and we can delegate things to and don't have to worry about it again. So it seems like that's what you needed to do in the aspect, because you probably were taking care of quite a few things inside of the club. What were your responsibilities? Or Steve Aoki is a big name guest. They're like, I'm sorry, we're gonna air out the elephant in the room. This is a big time DJ. If anybody doesn't know, look him up. So I'm thinking you're dealing with this type of guy, high profile client. What's your requirements inside of the club? Is there anything special that he's requiring? What did entire planning, and I'm sure there was a lot of configurations and changes. What did that look like?
Yeah, so the biggest thing usually, you know, when you're working with someone who's used to playing to, you know, I mean, this guy plays from everybody for 2,000 or 3,000 to, you know, I can only speculate upwards of 80, 100,000 people festivals. I mean, this is, you don't get any larger of an act than this currently, you know. So he had all the typical asks that you would expect from a festival level or arena level rider, and we had to make it work. We worked with his team to get an alternate rig approved for his monitoring. You know, it was still the Texas headphone situation, and we made them happy. That was the biggest thing that I wanted to do out of the evening. You know, I wanted to make sure that they were happy, that it blew them away, or it at least sufficed to make a mark with them, and that, you know, they could perform to the best of their ability and really make it stand out. You know, that was what I wanted to do. I didn't want to come in with anything underpowered, underwhelmed, because we were definitely working within the, you know, confines of reality here. Like I'm stringing together 20 amp circuits from all over the house. Like I had to take a 12-foot ladder up to an 8, you know, like this place has like 16-foot ceiling, 18-foot ceiling, to take a circuit out of the back where front of house is to run, you know, a 100-foot AC line to the stage to get power to an amp. You know what I mean? Just because that one amp needed to be put into that line, because we checked it out and nothing was on that circuit. You know what I mean? I had to go during the site visit and spec out. You know, big shout out to Jay Thor himself. He was a big help. I had him come out and inspect the house and see what he thought might be some pitfalls. He pointed a couple things out, and he really helped me spy all the circuits. You know, we marked everything out, and that really made it a lot easier. After that second site visit, I was really a lot more confident in going in.
Copy that. Understood. So Omar, we're missing your audio.
Let me jump in. Let me jump in real quick, because Matthew says something here, right? Matthew says it was an amazing night. Cory did an amazing job, okay, and put together a perfect package, unheard of, perfect package. I love it. To make it all come together. So Cory, I want to backtrack here a little bit, right? Tell me about the pre-pro you did. You know, I want to know before you even did the show, right? Because you already told us a little about the pre-pro you did here, but tell me, the client calls, tells you, hey, we're doing XYZ. What did you start to do to get ready for that particular show?
Well, man, first thing on the agenda is always a site visit. You know, we actually got contacted this is going to speak to a larger trend that's going on right now in the industry, and we can kind of discuss that afterwards. But we got contacted within 2 weeks of this event date. So, you know, not your typical lead time for an event of this caliber. And, you know, not to mention during that period of time, you know, I had 4 other shows that had, you know, my full attention coming up to this, and you're having to work all those office hours into that and make a plan that works and making sure that you're checking all your boxes, because at the end of the day, it really comes down to you making sure you did your due diligence with this. Because there's a lot of things that could have went wrong here. I mean, you know, with the amount of firepower we brought into this house, anything lesser or anything that we didn't think of, I mean, you know, worst, knock on wood, you really don't ever want the worst case scenario. I could have burned this guy's house down. I mean, that was a real possibility. And there were things that we had to do, stuff we had to rewire. And there was a dimmer pack in a wall that they had that was, this panel was set right below where a trash can, I guess, usually sits in this nightclub. And they were, it had splash marks behind it. Well, after we had a little bit of a continuous load on that circuit for a little while, I guess some of the sugars and stuff that wires were laying on the backside of the dimmer, I guess it got hot, started smoking. So we had to, shut everything down, start breaking stuff, find out where it is, follow the smoke. Everybody stops what they're doing. I picked all the people that were, Austin filled out some of the crew for this, and I very much went to the people that I knew I could trust the most because of these exact situations. And I knew, like, when, you smell something like that, you start going through the ropes, shut it all down, find where it is, evaluate what it is. What do we do? Is it safe to start bringing stuff back up? What's our options here? Where do we go next? And luckily it was something small, and we remedied, we moved forward. But it certainly could have went any other way. I'm not going to say that I didn't get a little bit of luck on my side with this either.
Hold on, because I want Austin. I want you to jump in after this. I want to point out something here that I want to make sure the viewers are noticing. Is that Cory talked about the logistics of him working with people that he trusted, people that he knew he could trust on and rely on to do the show. We didn't say too much technical things in this conversation just now. Cory literally said, I had a job to do. I had 2 weeks to do it. I had to execute it. And there's people that I trusted that I could contact that I reached out to. Not, I needed to get the best the best switcher, the latest media server, the latest monitor. He didn't say any of that. He said people that I trusted needed to come on board with me. And that's what he went to first. That was the conversation we just had right now. And I want people, I'm sorry, my monitor keeps shaking. I want people to recognize that, because that is super important. It's what me and Austin tell you guys all the time. You can be a great tech, and you can be an amazing, phenomenal tech at what you do. But if no one trusts you and they don't want to work with you, they're not going to call you. It's that simple. And Cory did an amazing job, an amazing show. As you can see from the comments coming in, Matthew, perfect package. But what was his main thought? I went to people that I trust and know could do what I needed them to do, right? And Cory, if I misspoke, let me know.
Oh, but, no, definitely. That's 100%. Like, I mean,
absolutely.
First and foremost, I can teach a lot of this to anybody, to almost anybody, especially in this day and age. If you're a little bit computer savvy, if you can grasp basic concepts and you can learn fast and you know how to use Google and weed out BS from real information, I mean, I can teach most of this to you very rapidly. The thing I can't do is I can't spend the years of building your character. I can't spend the time to make you know how to act proper in certain situations. I can't build street knowledge like that. I can impart what my experiences are, but I'm really, really looking to those people that I trust to go and, this is a $10 million mansion, $8 to $10 million mansion. I need people that even if they make a mistake, they're going to look at me and go, man, I messed up. But I'm looking at you. I'm telling you I messed up. This is what I thought to fix it. This is what we can do. Come up, bring in solutions.
Absolutely.
And,
don't bullshit. Don't bullshit.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I say that like very, very, loudly is you got to be able to say, hey man, I messed up. What can we do to fix it? And like, that's what real trust is being able to look at somebody next to you and nodding your head when everything's going good and looking at them and going, hey man, I'm in elbow deep. I need help.
Absolute. That and you know what the great thing about it is, and first off, is more power to you, because that is a commendable and enforceable point of leadership. You didn't let's talk about your leadership qualities and skill set on this, right? Omar already pointed out one of the biggest feats. You recruited a great team. You found out what was the task at hand. When you needed to do pre-production, you needed a little bit more assistance, you brought in Jay on it. So already the recruitment started. You and Jay, you guys tackled it. You saw what was needed at hand, and you looked to build a team to start fulfilling all of these requirements. Not really looking at gear such and such and such, but looking at the team that you can build around it. The excellent quality in leadership. Then you said you can teach people these things. You can teach them all the skill sets, but one thing we always say is you can't teach people to care. You can't teach the character. you can't teach the integrity.
Absolutely, yeah.
And the integrity is what we talk about when you say, "Hey, man, Cory, I got this. I got such and such and such, but I don't really. Can you help me out with this? Or this isn't going so well. Can you help me out with such and such?" And that integrity is what sharpens your skill, because by you opening your mouth to ask a question, someone is going to pour knowledge into you so that you learn and you're not in this position a second time.
Yeah, for sure.
And the third point about it I wanted to bring out was, it seemed like the theme of a lot of it was, I guess the theme of 2020 was pivot, that we had one plan and things were changing by the second, and you had to figure out a way, how do we change things at a moment notice? How do we keep the team motivated behind of it? And how do we keep things pushing? Like the PTZs and everything that was supposed to be outside by the pool. Yeah. But there was a whole bunch of rain. Yeah. So we had to, that was a quick pivot.
Yeah, so, man. Yeah.
Talk to us about some of these transitions and changes that you had to make. How did you keep the team engaged in terms of going through all of these things as well?
Yeah, and I mean, Austin, full disclosure, like Austin is one of the guys I hand selected, asked to come personally on this gig, because I have that, we really, as a company, JThor really has that level of family comfort with him. And that's a great point. I mean, there was a lot of stuff that like I'm not even registering in my brain that we had an original plan, and you kind of plans. Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. You know what I'm saying? So,
Mike Tyson.
You gotta know how to get punched in the face. I mean, I say that in a not a literal, in a metaphorical sense, but it's still true. You got to know how to take a lick and then go, okay, what do we do here? What is the play? Is there, and sometimes no action is an action. Like, don't ever forget that. Like, pausing, stopping, and waiting, and is sometimes an option. With that scenario, we ran into, there were supposed to be cameras outside. We had a gobo cut that was shining over the pool, had little water light effects that were kind of mapped to the pool. Had like 12 ADJ black lights outside, yoked up, because and I think there's some like pictures floating around. All the balloons that were done for this show were all UV reactive. So there's black lights everywhere for all this. So that was really cool. And with all the rain that we had, I mean, had to scrap some of this. So we moved some camera shots into some creative places to still get like the pool coverage and still see the ambiance. We yoked some cameras up over the bar off some speaker stands. Move one of the pool deck ones inside. And then we had some upstairs to the gym where Rob Gronkowski and those guys were working out. And all, it was.
Wait. We're gonna put a pin in that. You just said Rob Gronkowski was working out upstairs.
Yeah. There was
while this is going
on the third floor. Yeah, it was cool, man. It was definitely interesting. Well, I guess that kind of speaks to the bigger point of the party, right? Was the client, the endpoint client, we partnered with You Dream Events to do this. You Dream Events brought us on, and Ryan Anderson and Christina, amazing people. They're like, hands down, some of my favorite people to work with. They kind of approached us to do all the AV tech and the lighting decor stuff. And when they first come at us, I don't know how we, you know what I mean? Like a lot of this. Oh, excuse me, I lost my train of thought there. We were, what was I talking about?
It's okay. So I want to go a different route here real quick. So Cory, tell me about the experience you had with Kelly Foxen coming in and what his role and his equipment was.
So Kelly provided us with some camera support and augmenting some equipment and stuff. Unfortunately, I would have loved to have Kelly on site too, but he was unavailable to actually do the show. But yeah, Foxen Productions kind of helped out with providing some PTZ cameras for the show.
And
I'm back to my train of thought there.
No worries. Go ahead.
So yeah, the endpoint client being Beyond Protocol, which is a tech company that's, I think their headquarters out of Silicon Valley, but it's real interesting company. what they were doing that night was really cool.
So tell me about that. What was the decision? I just want to get into some of the minutia here, right?
Yeah.
What was the decision to go with PTCs instead of getting ENGs, right? What were some of the deciding factors for this particular client when you said, "Hey, let's do PTC cameras. Let's call Kelly," and it could have been anybody,
Yeah.
right? But let's go with PTC cameras. Obviously, you trust in Kelly and his ability and his gear.
Yeah.
What was that decision factor for you?
Just the sheer movability, the footprint of the camera, the fact that you can. Some of these cameras are actually getting a lot. I used to be really off on PTZs because everything looked like a security camera to me. It didn't really gel with the glass. I mean, I still, even up to UE70s and stuff, I'm not really that. They're okay, but I'm not super. You can tell the difference between a nice camera and a nice piece of glass, and those for sure. But more and more as they've come along, I mean, the usability of it, the operability by one person, the fact that I can sit back there, punch positions, presets, switch camera, and run audio. I can't do that if I'm manning sticks for sure. But
so those were all of your requirements on that's what you were doing on the show?
Yeah, basically, so I can man everything. Yeah, it was a big factor. Is we didn't have a whole lot of predefined lockdown shots. So I knew at any point if I got asked, hey, can you cover this? Or, hey, can you, move this camera to here? Or, hey, can you, instead of having to physically go move the camera, I had the flexibility of a PTZ, had the footprint of putting it on a stand, of putting, it doesn't take up as much space as actually having a camera guy. So it's basically the flexibility there. And
So you're able to get multiple camera shots with a smaller footprint, get multiple different positions of camera shots, and also as well, scale back on the amount of operators you need because now you got this ability to say, hey, I can get you 4 shots, maybe 6 shots, right? I think you said there's 6 cameras total.
We did wound up 7 total. Yeah,
7. So you had 7 cameras, 1 guy, and you have an ability to get an unlimited amount of shots with that, right? So some are pre-programmed to kind of give you these generic, like, hey, real quick, we can go to these shots here, and the rest of them are like, if whatever happens, I could just take a camera and run it across the stream with you and get you the shot that we need, right?
Yeah.
Versus what's there, but again, the big point is it small footprint, cost effective, and it's definitely gives you that ability to get more cameras than you would, right? Because with an ENG, for especially for what we're doing nowadays, right? ENG requires an operator, requires a camera guy, and requires another person to do shading. With a PTZ camera, autofocus, auto shading sometimes, one guy can control multiple, and now you have the ability to get more camera, more angles, more shots, more cutaways than you could the other way, and essentially you're saving on cost.
Yeah, and the big thing was quality. Like, and that quality they're starting to meet each other now.
Right.
Like Canon makes. They just came out with, I think it's the SC300N and the SC500N. I want to see these cameras really bad, but from the spec sheets, they look amazing. And I heard did a show with the video with 311 at the amphitheater, and their video director, who I did the show with, who was also like a one-man band for them. He managed, I think it was like a 6-camera shoot, plus tying in 2 cameras from us that I DA'd and lined back to him, all from by itself. And I mean, it was impressive. It was really cool. And that's who was telling me about these Canon cameras, and he was raving about the glass on them. So, and the autofocus is something that Canon's known for, and it really. I think those are some impressive cameras, but I mean, if the bar can only get better and cheaper, and you got companies like Scarhoy who are making these really cool controllers, and now I can mix PTZs and not be locked to a controller of any sort, or it doesn't make, if I got different PTZs from different brands, I can still use a single controller. And there's some cool functionality with some of the stuff people are coming out with, like Scarhoy, they have the cruise control function, which, man, that's awesome. The fact that I can start a camera in motion slowly and do a panning sweep, hit cruise control, and it'll continue to carry that motion, and then I can switch away and I have a hand free to switch away from it. So, I mean, that kind of stuff is really makes it a lot more creative, because you can then with one man and in a couple hands, get those nice sweeping shots and cutting motion and that kind of stuff. And it really elevates the experience for sure.
I like that. I like that. So we kind of went over the video side here, which is what I like a lot, right? We're the video side a little bit here. Tell me a little about the audio. Tell me what you guys did for the audio, how you got the audio up and running, and kind of that part. Oh, this is your
Oh, yeah.
You're like,
Yeah,
definitely.
man. My bread and butters, I guess, become a video for sure, or like I guess integrated all of the above kind of situation. But my heart definitely stems from an audio background, and big shout out to L Acoustics. A lot of people say a lot of great things about a lot of companies, but that's where my heart is for sure. Like
hell yeah.
their systems. I there's so much peace of mind that comes with just you don't have to calculate. I don't have to calculate impedance. I don't have to do any of that stuff anymore. You got Sound Vision. You can go straight to LA Network Manager, and between a P1 and a measurement mic, it's and load checker, I can get all that done. I can system tech anything from a small rig to a large rig, and handful. I don't want to get exaggerated here, but in 30 minutes to an hour for sure. And that's just incredible. To know that like all that's taken care of. I mean, this was all jammed into a very small place, and there's about 300 people in this tiny room. And I had people sitting on top of amps and all kind of stuff. We had to put the amp racks on stage, and they were kind of nestled in a corner, and we kind of hit them under some banjo. And with Network Manager, I can look over to my left, and I can see the amps are giving me temperature alerts, so they're starting to gain back automatically because they're starting to get slightly into overheat. So I know, okay, hey, this amp's protecting itself right now. I don't need to. I send somebody up to the stage. Hey, get away from the amps, give them a little breathing room, open them up a little bit. Any other amp rack, any older PA system, that would have went into overheat bill. That would have went
right
into
away.
Yeah, I mean, that would have went into catastrophic failure. If you were using, especially, any combination of old passive boxes with any type of non-processed amps, like it could have been pretty bad. And I love that about that company. I love their approach. I love their approach's intelligibility. Like, I mean, my favorite rig, hands down, in a medium format to medium format, I would say up to 500 people, is that A15 focus, A15 wide, KS21 on both sides. It sounds amazing. Yeah, I mean, it sounds great. Sounds great for bands. It sounds great for DJs. It sounds great for and the intelligibility is amazing. Like that's what really gets me is you listen to some, and I don't want to start throwing names out, but there are some other companies that their focus is definitely more on program material or on music or entertainment, and I think L Acoustics approach translates across all that. I mean, I can deal with clear and concise and the ability to be loud and concise all the time.
I think after this, Austin, we need to call up L Acoustics and ask for a referral fee because
yeah.
A great promo here.
Yeah, well, I can't get enough. Hands down, I love that rig. I love taking it out every chance I get, and it's got a special place in my heart. There's not a many PA.
Right, so L Acoustics is in the house.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. Video, we got just a video. What about lighting? How was the lighting done for that show?
Good friend Kevin Beard, man, awesome LD, came out and did an amazing job for us. Like, I didn't give him much lead time, and I basically built a horseshoe and said, "This is what we're going to put on it." So, we brought out some Mac Auras. Brought out, I think I brought like 12, but we ended up using 10 across the top, yoked those out. We had some Elation deep blue pars that were kind of yoked, almost had 2 of them as key lights over the booth underneath the truss structure. And then we had the rest of them were kind of yoked up around this truss structure. Almost, I think Kevin was utilizing them almost like as blinders or ambient light a little bit at times. And then we strung 2 circuits from down the hallway into the club for 2 Elation Satura professionals. And it was kind of funny. We set them on these 2 bins in the front of the club, and it was definitely cool to see, like, you know, these big movers, these giant movers in this little club. It was cool. But one funny note is, like, people tried to start dancing up on a little bit up on the stage, and it was really good that those lights were there because they definitely kept a clear shot right at the front of where I had my camera keyed in. So the movers would start moving like this, and it would definitely keep people from crawling over the center of the stage.
Nice.
Yeah, so in hindsight, it wound up working really well. There might have been a couple of young ladies who got hit with some mover heads, but you know, casualties of war, fellas.
So I see this comments coming in. Matthew Combs says, you know, the whole nightclub was floating above the garage, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, did anybody mention the nightclub was on a 2nd floor? Not only was it on a second floor, but it was floating. So tell me a little bit about that, the logistics on that part.
Oh yeah, man. So 2nd floor, basically the middle of this place. Whoever built the house apparently like did all of this very much with. Yeah, I guess over the years they've had a lot of people come and perform there.
Right.
It's soundproof, double floated, double framed, even all the way into the front door. Like, I had to measure the width of the frame end of the door because I almost had to take amps out of their racks and stuff because the door frame, the gap to get in the door of the club was only 2.5 feet. Luckily, it just made. I mean, it was like a 1/4 of an inch.
It was tight.
Yeah, it cleared. And yeah, I mean, we had to load in straight up through the front door. Like, there was no good way about it, and that's always scary, man. Like, that speaks to another reason why you really gotta have people you trust, because anybody could have messed these people's house up, and that's an unfortunate way to mess up, really ruin a relationship. You want someone, if they did something, to come tell you, you can talk to the homeowner. Hey, this is what it is. Can we, you want to be upfront first and foremost with that's how, you gain trust from people. And the hosts were really gracious. Chris V, shout out to those guys. He owns, it's virtual tour guide realty stuff in Tampa, man. Amazing guy. He's an advisor with the Beyond Protocol crew. Amazing host. But yeah, it was kind of scary because at one point we were doing a little bit of like weight calculations of everything we had in the room plus all the people that were in there. And we started realizing that, hey, all this is directly above the garage where there's like a $300,000 Rolls Phantom, or Rolls Phantom, and like an equally ridiculous expensive lime green AMG. It's like, man, that's not to mention like everybody could get hurt. Like, what if the floor fell out of this thing? So you kind of like fingers crossed.
I got another one for you here.
Mm-hmm.
The man himself, right? And you mentioned this a little bit, so I'll bring his comment in a second. But you mentioned that you guys had no generator, no distros on site, so you did everything on power. So, and Jay Thor, the man himself here, is saying all with 420 amp circuits.
Oh, look at him! Yeah.
Let's go a little bit into the power here and how you did manage power on the fly at location.
Yeah, so those 420 amp circuits that we had right there, we spied those out. Jay came. I mean, as soon as I seen the challenge of this and I started calculating in my head after my first site visit and I started thinking about some of the things, oh man, I might have overlooked. I went straight to him. And, anytime you got a wealth of experience, you got to tap into it and say, hey man, come look at this thing with me. Like, I could use a fresh set of eyes and somebody who's, knows a thing or two about doing some crazy shows, to take a look at this and really spy these circuits down, because generator is just not an option. yeah, he came out, and I'm super glad that we did. It raised my confidence level like tenfold to have him come out, and we went through breakers, labeling breakers, checking what was on each thing, and knowing where I had power and what could absolutely stretch power from made a huge difference. And, going in, I didn't have to even we had a few scares. I mentioned the little dimmer and having to do a little bit of rewiring on this house, man. It was not without scares for sure, but we made it work. I mean, Jay helped me find those 20 amp circuits in there. We strung those together to kind of cover the amps and the lighting rig, and then I strung front of house, and then we got circuits for the two movers we got down the hallway and around the corner, and Jay's motto and all of Jay Thor. It's kind of one of the reasons why I came to work here is make it sexy.
Make it sexy.
Yeah, make it clean, make it sexy, do it right all the time. It's a lot of people don't hold standards like that, and
integrity.
That's really always gelled with me. I mean, his reputation has preceded himself, and it was real good to have him come out. It really helped with my confidence level. And going into this stuff, you got to be confident. I mean, that's what site visits are for. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it is. You're taking measurements, you're planning, you're starting. And on our end, that's where I build confidence from. Like, if I can see all this before I have to go do it, then I've already played it over a million times in my head. So, that's hugely important. And any time that you can have somebody like Jay come out and put another pair of eyes on it, like, it only just helps that much more. So,
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
It was definitely unique for sure.
Rob White asked a question. He said, "Would they not let you tie into the breaker box?"
I don't do hot cams. That's not in somebody's house. That's not something that I would do. Easy answer to that question.
Oh,
he's talking about hot time. He's talking about popping breakers and hot time cams. I'm not doing.
Yeah,
that's not something I do.
So Jay commented as well. He said he would have came on, but he said Sean has him working on a gig tonight.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man.
I've been inviting people in the background, trying to get them to come on and talk to us, and everybody's being shy. They're like, I don't want to be next to Cory. Cory's too good.
Yeah, they're out there working hard, man. Doing a little.
So actually, something that I didn't mention earlier, and I don't know if the community got a chance to even hear anything about it. So Cory mentioned that audio that's his forte, that's his background. But what I didn't mention when I dropped his intro is that Cory's background in audio is extensive and far beyond the average, and we didn't really talk about it. He was a technical program director for St. Petersburg College for their music industry recording arts. His wife and himself used to build digital audio recording consoles. Like, his experience is kind of pretty deep behind the scenes. So Cory, let them know a little bit more about your audio background. And the reason why I'm asking you just to share this is because our community is all about the sharing of the wealth of information. So I'm sure that there's somebody in the community who has an audio question that they may want to be able to tap into your wealth of knowledge that they can learn something from. So,
yeah, man. I kind of come from a recording studio background for a long time. My wife, who's currently, she's the operations director of St. Petersburg College's Music Industry and Recording Arts program, which is an amazing program that I went through, that she went to. She was the first graduate of, and I worked there for about 8 years as a technical support specialist, doing everything from the radio station, building recording studios, all kind of stuff. And we also used to build analog recording consoles for a gentleman named Jeff Daking and Daking Audio LLC, which is if anybody's familiar with recording equipment, Jeff and Daking own a lot of the patents to the old Trident consoles. And he originally released a console in the 80s, which is his Mark I, based on some of those designs. And they redid it in the 90s, or in the 2000s, late 2010s, to 2019. So they were a really nice console. I mean, Jeff is a legend of the recording industry. He was a drummer first for the Blues Magoos, it's a band who literally coined the term psychedelic rock. So, the dude has done amazing. I mean, he's a guy that casually just conversates about like borrowing PA from Dwayne Allman and stuff in the 60s, and crazy stuff like that. So it was a real pleasure to work with him, and there's a lot of information, a lot of experience came from doing that. A lot of cool jobs, but my time at Mira and the time doing the freelance studio stuff are some of the coolest things I've done. It really shaped me and my tendencies and my habits, and really helped propel me to do what I'm doing now, and have the right mindset to do it. And we still are poaching people from that program all the time. Like there's previously at one point, I think there was like, right now I think Jay and them are down at the St. Pete History Museum for a chamber gig and stuff, so a lot of that there's a lot of stuff around here that runs deep. I mean, St. Pete's my home. The Mira program was my home, for work and education. And I mean, I really enjoyed my time there. It was really special.
That's
to me.
awesome.
And that program still to this day turns out some of the best engineers you'll find anywhere. And smaller audio engineering programs or event programs like that really have the mindset of getting people practical knowledge. I can't speak highly enough about it. If everybody would take that mentality instead of I don't want to knock any full sales, but if everybody would take that mentality instead of trying to just show you all this fancy equipment to bait you into stealing your money and not teaching you shit, that's a real disservice to the larger industry and to what they're trying to do. And Mira was always the antithesis of that. Like, that's what drew me there. It was the people were real. The what they were teaching you was real. They were proven professionals that were spending their time over there as professors. And it really shaped me, and it really helped me elevate everything that I do to the next level. Dave Greenberg, big shout out to him. Like, those guys, Tom Morris and Nathan Mule. Like, there's a lot of people over there that are really good at what they do and really, really amazing at imparting that knowledge. And it was a really special time. So
I gotta look up this Mira company, see what's going on, and try to model some stuff that's going on here.
It's a little, it's a little recording program, live event program at St. Pete College at their Gibbs campus. It's one of those special little places that you really come out better than when you went in, and that's what I wanted from that experience.
That's what it's about.
And I got a lot. I mean, you can directly follow the bouncing ball of me going to Mira or going to J-Thor from Mira. You know what I mean? Like, it was college intern experiences, that led me straight to J-Thor. So, I mean,
one day we'll get J-Thor on the show and to talk about him, because we've had a lot of his employees, past employees, and you guys have all had similar conversations about him. I love hearing about Mira.
Man, he's a myth. He's the legend.
The myth, the legend. Yeah, Cory, man, your partner sounds amazing. Both of you for what you've done in the industry and what you're doing, continuing forward. I mean, you guys are just rock stars. We got about 8 minutes left before we close out.
Man, yeah.
Is there anything you could say to the community that we haven't mentioned yet, or haven't asked you yet, that you feel like should be mentioned tonight on tonight's show?
Oh man, you know, there's
No
so
pressure,
much.
no pressure.
Yeah.
My wife would kill me, man, but we should. Well, she probably wouldn't. I say that jokingly. We should have did 2 hours.
You're having too much fun now, huh?
Yeah. Well, once you get me yapping, man, it's hard to shut me up. And we didn't. I didn't even get to touch on like a quarter of the stuff with the show, you know, and some of the Beyond Protocol stuff. If you get a chance, go out there and research Beyond Protocol. It's a company that's coming up. And if I have, you know, a couple of things to say to everybody out there, more relating to AV industry and that kind of stuff, is don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to look dumb. Have the confidence to ask questions and learn. Like, I can't implore you enough to continue to ask questions. You, even when you feel like you might, you know, you ask the same question twice. I would rather you ask me the same question twice and be clear on the answer than not clear on the answer and do something stupid.
That's because you ain't never yelled at yourself.
Yeah, well,
but here's the thing. I like that a lot. You know, have the confidence to ask questions, because there's a lot of things that stick out to me in this industry. Very little that sticks out to me when we do these podcasts, because I feel like we're bringing attention to what should be brought attention to, right? The last time I heard something, and this is I'm giving you this example. The last time I heard something that I thought was, you know, exponentially like for the future, was at the middle of COVID. Me and Austin did a show with a person, and I can't remember their name, but I remember the last line that she said, and it was, and Austin actually kind of rephrased it for her, but it was, I turned my wall into a money making machine, and that to me was like, you know, like one of those boom moments, right? With what we're doing now, and you just said, you know, don't be, you know, have the courage to ask questions, not just ask questions because you should. No, have the courage to do it, right? That's a different mindset there, and I love that a lot.
And I mean, that's part of it. I mean, the courage to stand up, the courage to say something, and the courage to admit when you're wrong. I mean, those are some of the biggest character things that I can preach about all this. You can learn any of this in not that much time. Like, all of the rest of this technical stuff is easy. These character things are how you get there faster. Ask questions. Be confident in yourself. Be confident in your ability to learn. That's it. I mean, that's all. There isn't a secret formula. It's surround yourself with people you trust and you have, and people that you have confidence in. Surround yourself with people who know those answers and have the confidence to ask them.
Wow. What's funny is, so many years ago, I learned what it was, a sales training, and they said confidence is a three-piece combo. It said the first part is be confident because you know what you know. The second thing is you know who knows what you don't know. And the third was, that's all you needed to know.
Yeah,
you know what you know, and knowing the people who knows what you don't.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's all you need to know.
I'll say that all day long, man. It's like, I don't know everything. I don't. Yeah. Far from it. But I know some people who know some shit.
Absolutely.
You know, and I know I can ask them, you know, and if I don't know,
how many people have you heard say that? Like, well, hey, all I did was bring about people that were way more intelligent than I am, or way better than I am. And that's kind of what success to me is about. Surrounding yourself, like you said, with people you can trust, people who are skilled at certain position, or people who have some type of value or something to build, where you can absorb some type of knowledge, learn something from them. And then the other side of the aspect is you got to make sure that you pass that on too. So, which is why you're an educator, and which is why you do so much and pass it on so much knowledge. So hats off to you, and thank you for that as well.
Yeah, man, appreciate it. I mean, thank you guys for doing this. Like, one thing I don't do, and a lot of the guys that are on here tonight will tell you about me. It's probably one of the first things they'll tell you about me. It's like, I don't do the social media. I'm not on Facebook. I don't do Instagram. I'm not on Twitter. You know, you can find me on LinkedIn, or you got my cell phone number. That's it. Like, I'm not interested in a lot of the noise. And, I haven't been on these platforms. And it's not like it's like a recent thing for me. You know, it's 2012, 2013. I like it this way. It helps me kind of, keep a focus. And it's super important in the moment. kind of bringing that back in, but in the moment to keep focused and focus on that shot in front of you. If you're always focused on making that shot in front of you, man, things will get a lot easier for sure. It's just having the clarity to know, okay, I need to focus on this shot.
Man, you dropping some powerful words.
I know,
tonight,
right? That was
boy.
powerful words tonight, man.
Woo!
Corey, before I let you go and let Austin do his thing, I just want to show you this one thing Jay Thor said himself. And here's proof of it, right? Because it's written down. That's why we keep Corey around. He is way smarter than me. So a man who thinks the way you think, he gets the best and talented, puts him in his crew with him and makes it work. Corey, man, honored to be with you tonight. Honored to talk to you and speak with you. Tons of golden nuggets were dropped tonight. I really appreciate it, man. The insights, the background, the information, it's been phenomenal. The feedback we've been getting here in the comments has been phenomenal. So again, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for joining us. And I hope if you guys want to see a part 2 of this and dive into the rest of it, because apparently we only did a quarter of it tonight.
Yeah,
if you guys want to hear more about it, we can always do a part 2 next month. Or this month, right? Because we're at the beginning, right? It's still young. We could do a part 2, guys. If you want, comment down below, and we'll get Corey and see when he's available because he's a busy man. But let us know. And Corey, again, thank you for being here. And Austin, I let you do your thing, brother.
I actually just want to say, Corey, if you're down for it, I'm just saying, if we're gonna have a part 2, people heard Steve Aoki and they probably want to know, was there cake? So maybe that's how we should start the second episode.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
A little more about the mission of the event. I didn't even get to dive into that. I mean, I feel like that's an hour conversation in and of itself. Beyond Protocol, which is I'll kind of summarize real fast so we don't stretch too long. Beyond Protocol is a software company that kind of approached us to do this show, and I implore all of you to really check it out because some of the stuff they're coming out with will change the world, and we'll leave it there for sure.
Awesome. Well, if nothing else, one thing I actually will say is I think some of the gems that you dropped with us tonight, and I'm not stroking your ego at all, but some of the things that you said tonight was very, very powerful. And I think that if we take those and we apply them, those will also change the world. So thank you for being here with us tonight. And just to kind of rewind and deep dive into those parts, I remember one of the last things you said is focus on that shot in front of you. You also spoke about having the confidence to ask questions and having the courage to stand up and saying that I don't know something, but the confidence to ask someone some questions. So I think we all received some valuable information tonight. If you guys want to see Corey back on for the rest of this episode so we could get even further deep dive into what happened in this party, because we only touch on 25% of it, and there's much more to come. Let us know in the comments. Let's spam it out because this is the only time that Corey's going to see it, because unless y'all going over to his LinkedIn. But thank you again, Corey, for being with us tonight. Thank you, AV Educate, for being with us tonight. I hope you guys picked up a lot of valuable information. Like I always say, make sure that we apply these things. Shoot your shot. Go out there. Be confident. Let people know when you don't know things. Ask questions. Constantly improve your skill. Another thing that he also touched base on tonight was, we always say, that one-man band operating 7 PTZs, switching and controlling audio at the same time. It is important. It is mandatory. It's necessary for us to improve our skills. Let's continue grinding. Let's continue building. Let's continue improving. I'll see you guys next week. Take care.